So now that we have looked at the history of the church in the past, now what we want to do is we want to be able to look at the church in the future. And we understand that the thing that hath been is that which shall be. That which is done is that which shall be done. There is no new thing under the sun. And so as we look at the church in the past, we will start to see history repeat as we see the church fulfilling prophecy today. And so what we want to look at is some of the current events and see how prophecy is being fulfilled. Volume 5 of the Testimonies, page 708, says, "As a people we are called individually to be students of prophecy. We must watch with earnestness that we may discern any ray of light which God shall present to us. We are to catch the first gleamings of truth, and through prayerful study, clear light may be obtained, which can be brought before others." So the purpose of learning prophecy is not just for ourselves, but it's so that we can bring it before others. And so we need to be praying for God to give us the light of understanding that we may understand prophecy. And so the first thing that we want to look at, we're going to take a few steps back into the year, back into May 19, 2017. We're going to look at President Trump's first international trip, his first foreign trip as President of the United States. And on that trip, he made 3 significant stops: Israel, Saudi Arabia, and the Vatican. And with these stops, as we can see, as CNN reported on this, they said in his first foreign trip as president, which begins Friday, was May 14, Trump has planned a pilgrimage of sorts, visiting the homelands of all 3 Abrahamic faiths, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. This may not seem significant, but as we're going to see, this is the first time a U.S. president has ever included all 3 of these in one trip, all 3 Abrahamic faiths, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. As General H.R. McMaster, President Trump's national security advisor, he said so himself, "No president has ever visited the homelands and holy sites of the Jewish, Christian, and Muslim faiths all on one trip." And as he goes on to express why he did this, he says, "What President Trump is seeking is to unite people of all faiths." Now that right there is a statement that we should be paying attention to. Around a common vision of, what's that word? Peace, progress, and prosperity. This is what his intention is. Why is he visiting all 3 of these homelands and these holy sites all on one trip? President Trump says so himself. He says, "I want you to know that the United States is eager to form closer bonds of friendship," what's that word? Security, culture, and commerce. He goes on to say, "We have made record investments in our military that will protect the safety of our people and enhance the security of our wonderful friends and allies, many of whom are here today." So these are the sentiments of the president as he was making his trips here, and it's one of peace, prosperity, and security. Commerce, like commercial trades and business. 1 Thessalonians 5 and verse 3 says, "For when they shall say peace and safety, then what happens? Sudden destruction cometh upon them." 1 Thessalonians 5 and verse 3. And so we're going to see President Trump setting himself up in line of this prophecy. President Trump is putting himself and establishing himself to the rest of the world as a man of safety, as a man of security. He's aligning himself with power, with military might. He is for the amount of generals that he has placed in office, he has put more generals in his cabinet than any president since World War II. It's quite significant. What is the president doing? How is he trying to establish himself into the world? Now, as we look at prophecy being fulfilled, we're not talking about one man here. We're not talking about Donald Trump. He is simply an instrument for the system that is to be set in place. Prophecy may not continue to be fulfilled through this man. It may be the next president. But what we're going to see is that he is putting the pieces together. What he seeks to accomplish cannot be completely accomplished until he unites with this man right here, the man of peace. President Trump has put himself up to be a man of safety and security and military might, but he needs to unite with this man right here, Pope Francis, the man of peace. As you can see right there as the cover of this article, he is the vicar of Christ. Daniel 8 and verse 25 speaking of that little horn power, that papal power seen through that little horn. It says, and through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. He shall magnify himself in his heart, and by what? Peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. So this is the position that the Pope is establishing himself as a man of peace. And it's by peace he will destroy many. It's by his craftiness that he is going to prosper through his policies. And this is the man that he is establishing himself up to be. Once again, prophecy may not be fulfilled with this Pope. There may be another Pope after him. But what we are seeing is a system that is being laid in place. All the pieces are being put together. And it's the system that we are warned about. Volume 5 of the Testimonies, page 451 says, by the decree enforcing the institution of the papacy in violation of the law of God, our nation will disconnect herself fully from righteousness. When Protestantism shall stretch her hand across the gulf to grasp the hand of the Roman power, when she shall reach over the abyss to clasp hands with spiritualism, when under the influence of this threefold union, our country shall repudiate every principle of its constitution as a Protestant and Republican government. That statement right there, to repudiate every principle of its constitution, is something that we know is going to happen. It's prophesied is going to happen, and we have yet to look for it to finally take place, but we can already see those steps being taken where our constitution is just being unraveled. As it continues on to say, and shall make provision for the propagation of papal falsehoods, that is, that beast rising up out of the earth, exercising all the power of the first beast, that papal power before it. It says, making provision for the propagation of papal falsehoods and delusions, then we may know that the time has come for the marvelous working of Satan, and that the end is near. And so this is what we're going to see. We see the role that the United States is going to be playing, and we see the role that the papacy is going to be playing, and when they unite together, we know that the marvelous working of Satan is near, and this has been told beforehand. This is going to take place, and so we as God's people need to be prepared for what's about to come upon God's people as an overwhelming surprise, and we need to be prepared for this. And so this is our prayer as we go through these prophecy spotlights, that we get more of an idea of how prophecy is being fulfilled in our world and especially in our country, so that we know now is the time to wake up, now is the time to get prepared. And so I pray God blesses the rest of our prophecy spotlights as we look through the church in the past and as we look at our church in its present condition through world and current events today. Amen.